Here we go. Thank Jesus.
Your participants. Here's your video camera. See? See who?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So when you want to let them see you, you turn it on. Okay?
Okay, and where's the volume thing? Oh, audio.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll tell you.
Greetings. Greetings, family.
Greetings, Jerry. This is Theodora.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great. And we have Joni or Johnny on the iPad. Checking to see. Joni, can you hear us? Hear me? Johnny. But Theodora, what we do is when we start off, we check all of our technical challenges, like what you were doing earlier,
Yes.
making sure you can hear and your visuals are correct.
Okay, I can.
Getting ready. Well, I'm checking to see. Hey, Johnny, could you confirm that you can hear us either verbally or visually? That's interesting, huh? Johnny's iPad. Can you hear us, Johnny? Well, we'll just continue. Theodora, good talking to you.
Likewise, happy holidays past and happy belated St. Valentine's Day. Anything else?
What's Black History Month,
Happy Black History Month, too.
Yeah, but I've been listening to a lot of the different documentaries, and it's been pretty emotional to see the history.
It's fantastic.
And so much of it is, it's not in the schools. Our Black history.
No. And it's it's going to be passed on from person to person now, not in schools, but in other places, wherever you gather.
Yeah, that's the history. And that's one of the reasons why now I am focusing on the the current um, family dynamics on connecting our families through reconstructing our families through DNA.
Yes.
And
Um,
it's,
I've,
go
I've
ahead.
been looking at history since we last talked, and with the assistance I got from the young lady who helped me figure out who the last enslaver family for one of my great grandparents. And I have been so fortunate because how I couldn't tell what the last surname was, the man's surname. And so it was, once she helped me figure out what that name was, I was able to pull together all the information I needed, and I tapped right into the right family. And so then I got brave, and I tapped into the other slave owner for the Carters, the Maxwells, not Maxwells, the Carters, and the Mosses and the Nelsons, because that particular great grandfather's last enslaver was named Nelson. And I said, oh, gee. And then the struggle began in earnest. And I think I've got it pretty good now. And so I'm waiting for you guys to let me know how well how well I did. Because you're going to be you're gonna steer me right.
Yes.
So that person is in my family. I don't know where you got that information from. We shall soon see.
Well, that information that you just shared is so enlightening because at this time, God is the source and we're the messengers. And at this time in your life, who would have thought that you would be obtaining this information?
That's
And we
right.
and we know the slaveholders didn't think we'd ever find out. And now what you're doing, uh, you're verifying your ancestors' origins, enslaved origins, and you're doing it not only by records, but you're doing it by DNA.
Yes, yes. As I told Diane, we verified years ago that I have about 12 coming off this group that I'm talking to today, about 12 folks from the family tree DNA company. But this time I'm all alone because I have absolutely no other names. So I've got a whole slew of enslaver names that you guys are going to verify, and I'm going to be listening.
Well, that's that's exciting to hear. And we just have been joined by my DNA cousin Betty Swain. She lives in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Swain, did you say? Aha.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I have me a new surname, just in case.
Okay, I have a lot of Johnsons, honey, in my tree.
Well, that's the married name. That would confuse us. No Joneses or Johnsons. And we might allow one or two Smiths, but let's stick to the Nelsons and the Mosses and the Winters and the Masseys.
Yeah, that
And
branch. That branch.
that branch, yes. That branch. Are we going to be a small group, do you think, today?
Oh, we'll take it as it goes. We're gonna stay on on following the plan, because what happens,
You're muted, Jerry.
pardon me, what'd you say, Betty? Yeah, because what happens is whatever we
Jerry, you're on mute.
no, I'm not on mute. Can you hear me, Theodora? Theodora, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You can't hear me, Betty. You're the one. Can you hear me now, Betty? Theodora can hear me.
Yes.
You hear Betty over there? So something's going on. Betty's swaying to everyone on mute. Okay. Let me do this here real quick. But as I was saying, go ahead, Betty.
Jerry, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Well, Theodora can hear me. Theodora can hear me. I can hear you. I can hear you. Oh man. See, this is part of the technical challenges that we have. This is Johnny. I hear Jerry also. Oh, yeah, Johnny hears me. He's on. They hear me. Well, so you can't hear me. Well, I tell you what. Let's text her and tell her we can hear her. Let's do that real quick. I just texted. And we hear a dog and everything, don't we? Okay. Okay. So, Theodora, what I was saying, uh, we go, we have our meetings with who are present. There's another meeting going on at the same time, and because of the Super Bowl, he couldn't have his meeting. This was my DNA cousin Eddie Henderson, but so he's having his at the same time as mine, and there's a number of our uh, uh, members who joined his also, and so we have a different group, different people joining different meetings. So
Oh, okay.
I'm going along, keeping the schedule. Mine are the first and third Sundays. His they're the second and fourth Sunday, same time, same station. but he last week was the Super Bowl, and he didn't have his meeting on that day, and he's from Kansas City. So, but I
Oh,
still, I mean, and you know, on no, not on the, it was on the ninth. I think it was 6 February 9th was the Super Bowl, and so I had mine on the second, and this is the third Sunday, the 16th. So I'm gonna continue with my plan, as long as we're all meeting. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you, it gives us more one-on-ones, and then we can do our research. And what happens is individuals, they look at our recorded video. See, we're here actually making connections and doing research, and then our meetings are recorded, and it goes off to all of our group members, and so they get a chance to see, what we discussed.
great.
But keep that in mind. That's the format, and sometimes it's better to go through these one-on-ones, especially when we're having some very significant information like you are sharing with me now. So I have a question. Betty, can you hear me now? Betty, can you hear me? No. Can you hear me now, Betty? Let me look up these participants and see if I can do anything better. Betty Swain. It's it, she's not blocked out here. She's not blocked out. Okay, so let's start the meeting. Nice iPad. I might have to I might have to put her on the phone, but let me do that real quick. But I don't want echoes, like echoes coming back and forth, the echoes. All right, so let's continue. So that being said, Theodora, could you give us a brief introduction of where you live, and what's your research, some of the surnames that you're researching, and what have you found lately? And then, Johnny, I don't know if I can hear. I don't know if you'll be able to uh, give us that information, but you'll be next. And if not, we'll just continue with the meeting. So, Theodora, would you please share your information?
Yes, my great grandfather, Aaron Carter, married an Adeline Mitchell. The 1870 census for Lowndes County, Georgia, lists them with about 3 or 4 children and another female, and I believe that would have been a sister of his who was helping with the raising of the children. But what I was lucky enough to find was a list of all the slave owners who became employers of the newly freed slaves. And on that list,
Did you find that from the Freedmen's Bureau?
that was printed by Lowndes County of Georgia, 1870 census, and it's freedmen and employers. If you just Google freedmen and employers, Lowndes County, Georgia, you will come up with Georgia Military District 658. We can hear Betty.
Can you hear us now, Betty? We definitely hear her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in the room.
So this is how I found Aaron's last employer, or the only employer, and likely the last slave owner. And I said, well, let me see what I can find. So the name of this person was W.J. Nelson. Took me a while, but I found out a first name for this W.J. Nelson. Then it gave me a county of Jones, Jones County, Georgia. And I said, where is that? And not another drop of information could I find. I suffered. Managed to find out.
For how long?
For a few, it took a couple of weeks because I had, Georgia has what, 200 counties?
Yes.
So I went through North Georgia, literally, and looking for a W.J. Nelson. And until I found one, and I found him, I believe in Muskogee, which is along the I-75 corridor. And I said, thank you, Jesus.
Is that Muskogee, Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
near Bibb County. So this, I know to look for the last chunks of land that the Indians had to relinquish from the non-existent peace treaties. So I know I'm in the right time zone, and I know the general location of the counties. And when I saw I-75 creeping up, I said, oh, I got you now. And it's not Jones County. It's another county, but it's close to Macon. And therefore, little bit by little bit, I pieced together the oldest one from Muskogee was a Captain Thomas Maduit, Maduit Nelson. He's born 1782 in Williamsburg City, Virginia. And he dies in Columbus, Muskogee County, Georgia. And then I went to find a grave, pulled out some information, got his wife, and her name was Anna Matilda Carter Nelson. And I said, ding, ding, ding. Got her dates. She's born in Richmond City, City, Virginia. And she dies in Columbus, Muskogee County, Georgia. And I had to pull up one, in fact, all of them are from Find a Grave. And so I verified them with other source materials. So I'd finally got a Mitchell following her. And the Mitchell is a Jane Mitchell who married a Carter. And she too was born in Williamsburg City, Virginia. And she died there. I don't know where yet, but she's there.
So how does that information bring you to having information that you want to have verified? Have you talked with Diane? Has she shared some
Not
information
yet.
with you?
You guys are the first ones that can help me with additional sources, because my materials that I corroborated with are from two books by Joanne Holland Austin, and then there's an 1850 census of Georgia slave owners compiled by Jack Cox. And then there's another source also by Jeanette Austin, and it's called The Georgians. So I have 3 additional sources, and I found these people to be in those other 3 sources, not in Huxford.
That's great.
So I know I'm on the right path, and I just wanted to share. The question for me, it has always been, when you find the great grandparents, you have to ask the question, well, how did they meet? And I found my answer: not likely in Lowndes, Georgia. These families knew one another as they were brought out of Williamsburg City, Virginia, into Wiregrass, Georgia.
Enslaved?
Enslaved, and stayed that way.
Until they were freed.
When the message was relayed. Now, there were 2 Nelson employers. My Aaron had one, and there was another one called Marion Nelson. And he had 3 slaves, formerly enslaved people working for him after emancipation. And so I'm now working on who, if, or how the 2 Nelsons may have been related.
Okay.
So that's the stage of my research, and I am pleased as punch.
That's great. Are you able to at some point in this meeting share your screen?
Can you see?
Are you familiar with sharing your screen?
No, I'm not. I'll have to call my daughter.
Oh, well, that's okay. We can go with what you have. Betty, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Good. I'm gonna find you. Uh,
Okay.
I'm gonna
I'll
find you.
accept. Uh,
I'm gonna find you. You're gonna have to go outside for about 5 minutes in that two
ooh,
degree
it's too
temperature.
cold. It's too cold. It's
That's
8 degrees. It's too cold.
that's okay, cuz. Okay, Clarice, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at, and where you're from, and how has this research helped you, please?
Okay, I'm born and raised native California, Sacramento. I live now in Sacramento. Um, even though I haven't lately been able to do all the things I want to do, but I'm still learning and listening, and so when I do get ready to do, I'll be able to flow a lot better. But I as this research, I got introduced, as I've said before, by Double R in the car, Reggie Romaine, I think is a cousin of Jerry, through another platform. So when I came here, I know my mother's family. We go way back to slavery, but my father's family I didn't know. And I through some research of my own, a little bit, several years when I started, I found out that one of my father's brothers had actually lived in Fresno, California with my father when he went to night school, but I didn't know any other connections. And matter of fact, he died in 91, and I wish I had this connection and known I would have been able to connect with him or the family more. But bottom line is Jerry, through his assistance and help, connected me with one of my father's, some of the family members. My father's mother married first husbands, that side of them called McCulleys or Macaulays. They changed the name because one of them was in some trouble. So I've connected with them through Jerry. Matter of fact, I got a phone call. I actually spoke with them, and we haven't went further. We talked a few times, but I'm trying to get to my father's brothers under the Collins name. But some of the children were, when the mother remarried, they took on the Collins. There was a few of them that were actually Collins, and there were some that were not. But they just took on their names. But I'm gonna get to the bottom of all of this. It's just a matter of time. Now that I know about the different avenues that I can connect with, I will be doing all of that. And I am going to get to the bottom of it real soon. I'm just having some other personal things I've got to straighten out. My insurance got all messed up. I'm dealing with some health issues. So I've been devoting my time to that. But I am going to get to my family, my father's family. It's something I wanted to do all my life, and he just never talked about them. I did find out a lot of things with Jerry. We found one of my first cousins, my father's brother's son. Actually, he got killed in Vietnamese in the war. And so we did find that information. So it's a matter of going back through the death records and making some connections, which I will do. So this show has been very inspirational to me, and I tell other people about it. Matter of fact, my cousin, Jerry, going to have to go through me. We can't send a kid to her house because she's got some grown kids that are there and some grandkids that, things that get shuffled around, where does it go, what happened? But one of the things I learned that you want to get to the oldest person in your family because that traces back further. So, while she's 85, we're going to get that kit to her and get her some more information. And I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to doing that. So that's my plot. The Collins name is the name that I'm looking for. And they're from Texas, Guadalupe. Everything is around the Guadalupe County, Guadalupe County, Guadalupe County. One place they had us down as Mexicans. So I don't know what's going on here. But we'll get to the bottom of this because DNA don't lie. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Clarice? I have one. What did it mean to get the results of your tests, the ethnicity part, and the part of your DNA actually connecting with someone that you didn't know on your father's side? What did that mean to you at this many years to actually, through DNA, uh, help fill out your family
It means that
portrait?
I'm not an alien out of the sky. Like a whole half of my life, didn't know didn't know anything about you. After a while, you'd be in the wonder, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Am I one of these freaks out of the sky that is my family? Is that really true on this other side? So it just it makes you hold just to know that there is the other half. You know it's there, but not to be able to put your hand on it. And looking back on some of the records, I can see why my father, well, he ran away with his mother had gotten sick. He was living with a sister. He ran away when he was 13. On a freight train, came to California, was sleeping in a park, met this man who befriended him, and he eventually met this man's sister, which is my mother, and married. So I think a lot of his past, he just it's gone and want to forget about it. Come to find out that his father went in prison when he was about 4 or 5 years old. So there was just a lot of information that my father, I guess he just moved on and he didn't want to deal with it. But
But now you
unfortunately, it didn't have.
and now you
Now I have this information.
now you're finding actual cousins and relatives DNA matches.
Exactly. Exactly. And it was so surreal. It was like, wow, I can't believe this. And I am so grateful to that. And I know I'm going to get to some more. It's just a matter of me time and doing a little research. That's why I listen to what everybody's saying and the different mediums that I can get on, and I will get on them. I do already got the ancestor, subscription. Plus, I've got the special tools, and right now Jerry's helping me manage me. So I'm learning from each and every one of you all the little things that you do. I'm taking all that in, and now it's more familiarized with me. So what before was just like Greek, but now I can understand the terms and I know. So when I actually start my research, and I have Betty, I have all you all's names down, Find a Grave, and all of the book, the person that does the book. I got all y'all's information, and you will be hearing from me. You will be
Yeah,
hearing from me, and I
yeah.
accept the help you've offered to give. Thank you for it so much.
Thank you. That was Denise Jarrett. Oh, that had the book. Betty, could you introduce yourself and tell us some of the
I'm Betty Swain.
some of the
I'm
members you're researching and where you live and how has Ancestry the tool has helped you reconstruct your family?
I'm Betty Swain. I'm originally from Brownwood, Texas. I was born in Houston, but my parents divorced and I went to live on a farm in Moll, Texas, right outside of Brownwood. We moved to town when I was 10, and I lived in Brownwood most of my life until I got married and then I left. I've been in South Dakota, Rapid City, South Dakota now for about 22 years. I came to help with my grandkids. And I do Russells, Swains, Eggers, um, Mosses, Johnsons, uh, Maddox, Browns. Just, I have a slew of them. And I'm trying to work on my cousins right now. And when Jerry contacted me that we were cousins, DNA match, I started working then on my older lines to try to figure that out. Um, and I found that he helped me with my gin match. I didn't know how to do that. I was just trying to match cousins up in Ancestry. And then he got me on GEDmatch, which just made it easier because I've emailed several people off there. Some I've heard from, some I haven't. But it's a start. And I found that I'm a match with quite a few of Jerry's cousins also.
Uh,
So if I can help anyone anyway, and I think
what is
that
one
I
of your
have
what is your specialties in this DNA research?
Find a Grave, because I originally started with Find a Grave, and the reason I used Find a Grave is because it was free. And when I first started, I did not pay for Ancestry, and it was the only thing that you could go to and add to Ancestry because they were connected for free. I could add my tombstones, I could pick names up of it, add into my tree. I could go in and add the people that I couldn't find a grave on. Uh, and there was a lot of cemeteries that I could search because when I first started, it wasn't as easy as it is now. You could not build a tree as fast as you can now. It was just, there was no tools to work with. You had to dig around. And I still go to that old one of digging around. If I can't find something, I'll put in a married name, a maiden name, a date of death. If it doesn't come up, I'll take it off. I'll just put it in without a state, see what comes up. there's different ways on Find a Grave to do things. And now with paying for Ancestry, I use a lot of the Members Connect, because that's where I get additional census records, pictures, and everything I get from that. If I find a grave, I take all my pictures, my census. If it shows they're doesn't show they're a veteran and I have a card or proof of it, I take and add that to Find a Grave. And the reason I put it on there, because there's still a lot of people that can't pay for Ancestry. But if they go to Find a Grave, they can automatically add it to their Ancestry for free.
Well, thank you. What has interested you being a member of our group?
I've learned a lot of stuff on here. I didn't know about DNA. I didn't know about the Pro Tool. Most of Ancestry I kind of knew. I did not know how to do a PDF file, which Jerry showed me how to do that. There was some things on Ancestry I didn't know I could do until I got the Pro Tool. And Jerry showed me how he used his, and I thought, I need that. And I have a lot of wills and stuff that has listed as slaves in, and I think everybody needs to know where they come from. I definitely want to know. And I know there's still a lot that I don't know, because I only know in the United States. I do not have very many that I know anything about after my grandparents that come from Ireland, England. I have no information on that. And with
how many people are in your tree?
Oh, Jerry, I have. Let me look.
Just give me an estimate now. Just don't be specific.
Over 3,000, I believe.
Don't you have over 5,000?
Oh, James says I have 5,000 plus.
5,000. Hey, James, which one has 105,000? When I look at it, one has 5.
I'll have 19.
19 what?
19,957 people.
Okay. What about the one that has 105? Which one is that? Is that a fishing tree?
Yes. I have a couple of those. I have a couple of those. Well, I started my fishing tree when I didn't know anything, and then I put a couple more in there after I talked to Jerry. When I got names to see what I could do, and those are the ones I play with to find more.
Now you've been a little bit more strategic. You're getting more verifiable information now, right?
Right. But most of my main tree, most of those are verified. I have started putting in on my tabs up there if it's verified or if it's not, so that anyone searching, they'll know that this might not be accurate information. But I try to verify all mine. And I know people say that Find a Grave is not a good deal. It is not a good deal to verify, because you really need census, birth certificates, and stuff. But it will lead you to it. You add that family member, then you're going to have something come up. If you don't know something about somebody and you have just a little bit, you can add that. And you can look and Find a Grave, is like when they leave flowers or something. Sometimes people will put stuff in there and they'll tell, like, if there's no record of their wife, they'll tell who their wife and their kids were in a flower and stuff. And, and sometimes it's on their obit and sometimes it's not. But I look at every flower, I look at every grave that's in that cemetery. I just thoroughly go through it.
Well, thanks for your story. Theodore, yeah.
Beg pardon?
What city are you in?
Silver Spring, Maryland.
Okay, on the East Coast.
Yes.
Got two Californians. I'm in San Diego. Clarice is up in Sacramento. Is it Clarice? I believe it's Sacramento.
Yes, Sacramento.
And Clarice is very instrumental in the California reparations. California reparations task force and the information that formulating the information from that and the journey that we're going through in order to obtain reparations. She's one of the instrumental leaders on that group who have been in battle and going through and creating the different guidelines and talking with the politicians and informing the people. And so it's going to take a consensus, but she's right there on the front lines. And, we appreciate you for that, Clarice. Any updates on that? Why have you here?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the bills are supposed to be coming up again. It's not looking all that great. I think there's only a few days left. They've been rallying, but I think the mindset is that we've got to start looking to 2026. And what they're doing is they're going to restructure and to build their infrastructure, get all this stuff in. And like we tell people, take a lesson from Trump. Spend this next year getting ready to go back with force because they pull a lot of punches on us, but the fight is not over. We're closer than we ever been, but it looks like they may not make it back on for the 2025. But if not, definitely 2026. We're getting prepared for that already. So the reparation bills effort is not dead. It's just taken aside. Matter of fact, one of the representatives, Senator Bradford, who drafted the bill for us, was on the show on just past Friday. And so he was just, giving us the heads up and the ins and outs. And so we're just restructuring, getting ready for the next leg of this battle.
What did Senator Bradford have to say? Because he was turned out, wasn't he? For the Senate?
Yeah, I don't know what I haven't really followed him
What did
prior
he have
to getting involved with this, but
what did he have to say about from his perspective?
what he's saying is that we got to keep at it. We got to get more people involved. We got to let them know, it's getting our numbers up, the law of demonstration, getting the numbers up, getting more. The big thing now is getting the churches involved. They've got a couple of boycotts they're trying to do against Target because Target is eliminating the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And some of our groups are saying, well, wait a minute, we tried to get y'all to get on with this reparation, but now you want us to boycott that because a lot of the Black products are in Target and these different things. A Reverend Bryant, I think he's out of from Los Angeles, he wants to do a 30-day fast away from shopping from these big box stores. Again, the whole message is we've got to start establishing our own. We got to get our own land. We got to start putting whatever we have from wherever we are now. We got to start investing and going back to basics, buying Black products, not just on the 30-day, not just on a temporary thing, but invested in our own neighborhoods, because those they've flooded our areas, our neighborhoods with these foreigners. They come through, give them license, they build projects for them and everything in our area, but that money goes back to their country, to their people. It doesn't go to banks that we can use. So we've got to establish banking, we've got to establish unions. So we're working on a different front, realizing that we can't do it the way it was done before. We have to change how it's done. We've got to start now and start building our own infrastructure. And that's the plan. And I keep telling them, take a lesson from Trump. The 4 years that Trump got put out the first time, Trump came back. That's why he can write up all these executive orders. That's why he's come with its full force that he's come with, because he spent 4 years planning it, building up his infrastructure, and he came in like a bang. So we don't want to get caught up in those diversions, because some of that stuff needs to be turned over, but we got to go in and get the spoils. I give the example. I worked for Stanford Linear Accelerator Center, that 13-mile accelerator. They get in there and they split that atom, they bombard that atom, and it scatters. And then they have scientists all around the world that just watch the readouts, collect data. So that's what Trump did. He came in with a force and he watched the readouts. And that's how we have to do. So we don't want to get caught up in what Trump's doing and what the Democrats didn't do and should have done, what the Republicans did and should have done. We want to go in and collect the spoils and start to build our own infrastructure and not get caught up in this diversion while they've got another master plan going. So that's our strategy now, is to go in, do what we need to do, stay focused on what we have to be focused on. And hopefully next on the 26th, 2026, it's going to be a better shot. We'll be better equipped with a new strategy and going through educating, trying to pull the churches in to get involved in this idea of reparation, repair, restore our people. And we're so diverse and so diluted until they flood our area, flood our country with so many different other nationalities. They've taken away from the black-white thing, and now with so many other people flooded in there, and you got a group of people that are out there that are marching and getting things off of what we fought for. We fought for it, opened up the way, and then they come in and take it. So we're saying, no, wait a minute. This country fought a war over Black people, because we were a commodity. We were their source of their wealth. So now we want to benefit from that ourselves. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's our new strategy. And I see, I can't think, I see your picture here. Who is that? Betty, I think.
Yes.
Yes,
You got some dream catchers up there, back there, huh? You've got some Indian in your family.
yes, I do.
Okay, I did one for one of my little cousins married someone I think came from the Blackfoot tribe or something, and so I made a dream catcher for them. So that's why I recognize that. And plus, you're from Texas. My father, that's where he's from, Texas.
I have Apache and Cherokee. Apache on the Russell side, Cherokee
Okay,
on Swain side.
okay. Yeah, I see them dream catchers up there.
I like Western stuff.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Clarice. Theodora,
Yes.
what does it mean to hear Clarice's story and the journey that she shared with us?
It reminded me of what a difference in research strategies may involve. I know that about easily over 40 years, 45 years of America's early history has been fought over treaty negotiations with Native peoples. And this is where I'm able to more easily document who the enslaver network, or who comprised the enslaver network at a particular period in time. Roughly 2 or 3 years pass, treaty is never fully examined for weaknesses. Something happens, it's broken, infraction, bloodshed, and then there's peace for a while, but it starts back up. So at each one of these treaties, I'm able to find my documentation, because you either fought or you were too old to fight or too infirm to fight. And the very fact that all the forts that were created in America's early history is extremely important. So if it deals with the period of pre-President Washington, I zero in on. I want to know who the generals were and who was involved in the campaigns, whether or not it was in Canada or whether or not it was in Florida, for the 13th colony, for the 13th state, 14th state. So I'm following all up and down the coastline, and pretty much I'm not able to tap anyone that came in on the Mayflower, but darn if they didn't come in much, a tad later. So if it's roughly the period that I'm focusing on is around 1720, 1740 to 1870. And I'm accumulating wherever the group may have been. And I'm finding that no state is immune. So sometimes you'll find somebody come from Rhode Island, or somebody is, Massachusetts, somebody is Connecticut. But the melting pot for me is North Carolina. And I'm able to pull together quite a bit. So I've got you've got one governor in North Carolina who was a Martin, and the different peoples who were associated with the drive from disassociating the colony from England to statehood. These are the Martins, these are the Harrells, the Terrells, the Hawkins, Folsom, Nelsons, Rayburns, Everett's, Beasley's. I mean, I can go, on and on, but it wasn't good enough. Then it was South Carolina, and you also have the Huguenots, and how easily they assimilated. You have the difference in opinion of whether or not slavery should be allowed in Georgia. And the absolute, I'm sure James Oglethorpe was so, he just wore him out.
Well, just recently, I listened to a couple of the documentaries, and one of the stories that I viewed was on USS Grant, the general, and he eventually became president. And his story is it's pretty dynamic. He was torn between the two, slavery and freedom, but he did the right thing from his character, and that's how he was able to lead our country. After the death of President Lincoln, he ended up USS Grant, he didn't run for president. He was swept in because of what he did in his battles, uh, and how he eventually did all the strategic planning and delegated to General Sherman to complete the final battles. But it was a brutal situation, that Civil War. But USS Grant was very instrumental in the planning. And matter of fact, he wasn't a tyrant. When they won the war, he gave pardon to all the Southerners. He didn't put them in prisons and things like that. He said, "Lay down your arms and you can go home." And that gave them a sense of there wasn't a lot of revenge. But you know who eventually turned around and started the revenge was the Southerners. That's when they started the Ku Klux Klan and started having reprisals against us. So I said that to say I have a better understanding of the role of General USS Grant. So let's go into the agenda. We're going to start with Find a Grave. I'm going to pull up Find a Grave and Theodora, what you talked about the slaveholders. I'll be going
Yes.
through that, and I'm going to show you where I have identified my slaveholders, my ancestors, verified by the slaveholders' descendants who share DNA with me. And so I'm gonna share that with you. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go by the agenda. Find a grave. I'm going to share my screen. I'm gonna pull it up first. And Betty's going to, talk me through a couple of exercises just so that you can see this. Find a grave, everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Theodora, you've used it and you use it in your research, don't you?
Yes. I'm desperate sometimes because in between the fightings, and then there's an epidemic, and then here comes the courthouse fire. You have to you still have to find out, did this person live here? And you might be able to find some record from a census, but not always. So you have to be aware that there's another place to look.
Okay, Betty,
Yes,
could
sir.
you give us a brief description of from here, from this right here, and I want to use my grandfather David Moss Senior, and you can you can inform the members what you did and how you helped me with that. So from here, when you pull up Find a Grave, how do we get to him? And then once we get to his memorial, would you please give us a brief description of what we did to change it and what we discovered when we found it originally, please.
Okay, what we did was we typed in David Moss in the
Right
Find a
here,
Grave.
right here.
In the name, the first name and the last name, David and then Moss. And then we would go type in the where it says cemetery location. It's where he died, what state.
Oklahoma.
We'd type that in. Now I know Jerry has more information on that, but we're gonna hit browse and see if it comes up.
What are they asking me for now?
No, click
Huh?
that off. You're going to hit browse underneath his name. Close that one. Ooh, what happened? You're going to hit cemetery location. You do need
Wanna
to
do that
type in
first?
Oklahoma.
That first?
Well, you got to put David back in first name.
Okay.
Then go to the last name and put Moss.
And
Then
Theodora, help also. You know.
down on the cemetery location, put Oklahoma.
Yes.
And where's your search? Down
Right.
here below the year born is the search bar. Go back to the left right there. Hit that, Jerry. Okay.
And here he is, right here.
You click him. And what happened was
Tell them what we just found. You know, tell the members, because remember, up in the stands, we
what
have people
happened?
that are up in the stands looking at this, because they're going to look at this recording, and we want to, teach them so they can learn what this process is. Cousin Betty.
Okay. So on David Moss, when I first started with Jerry, click it, Jerry.
Okay, just a minute. Look at
Okay.
look at all these other David Mosses that showed
Right.
up.
Right. Now, and you'll see that they're all in Oklahoma.
Correct.
So if you wasn't sure and didn't have a date, I would go through each one and check them out because they might be in your tree. If you're unsure, you might find information on them that would help you with someone in your tree. Could be a cousin, an uncle, a brother, a nephew, a niece down the line. So if
Yeah,
you really don't have,
I see that. It's here, Spencer, Oklahoma.
but once he clicks David Moss,
Okay.
now as you see, when David Moss comes up, that is his grandfather. And you also over here on the right side, you'll see Seymour Moss Memorials. Okay, you scroll down that, you will see there's different things on the right hand side that you can use to search if you need to look for more mosses. And some of them down there will have things that are in Ancestry. If you don't have much information, you can search that out. But what happened with Jerry's grandfather is when we went in to find him, he was listed as a white person, being brothers and parents, which Jerry had to contact. Uh, at the bottom, go to the bottom of the page. It now says that this belongs, scroll all the way to the bottom, Jerry, that I thought he switched it to you. Still says Michael
Where?
at the bottom, who
Oh yeah,
maintains it.
yeah. Created by Michael right here.
Yeah, but I thought he switched it over to you, Jerry.
Well, I was able to put the information in. Let's stay current on that. I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that with
But
Michael.
what we did, because it had the wrong person, what we did is we started adding information.
One of the
Like,
things that I added, when she said it was a white man, and for me, um, I do this ancestry research, and I'm connecting lives, relatives, DNA relatives, and we're just going along. And but find a grave, I wasn't that experienced with it until I talked with cousin Betty. And then when we did look up my father's father, it had the wrong information. So I was somewhat I was curious. And I said, what can we do to change it? And then with my cousin, dear Betty, we were able to go through and I added, there wasn't a picture. So I added, you see the photo was added by Jerry. And we put the information, the correct information over here about his memorial. And I was able to put a picture, uh, not no, Michael, this person put the picture in, but he didn't have the
And you
information.
go down there,
And
go down there and see more, so you can show what you added, Jerry.
okay, but anyway, I added, this is a picture of my grandmother, his wife. See, his wife. I was able to add that to the memorial. So that's the value of Find a Grave. And I just want to share it with you, and you have to verify the information. And then you ask this other person who had it previously, can you change it? And so there's a checks and balances, and if they agree to it with your verifiable records, then your memorial is changed. So now my memorial is changed for my grandfather. And so, and that's what Betty, taught me. And
Any memorial that you find and the information is wrong, if you can add a census, a picture, a draft card, a birth record, a death certificate, you can even add from records like telephone directory that shows both the wife and the husband, a newspaper clipping, an obit to prove your information. And then you go in there and you edit it, Jerry. You'll scroll up. We'll show them where the edit button is. Suggested edits.
right here.
You would hit that. No, not the arrow down, just the suggest edit. Right there. Click it. Everything comes up there. And you can go in and click and add the correct information. And when you do that, it'll show up in a box. And what happens is the contact person, I usually go ahead and go to the contact information. I contact the manager down there where it says contact manager. I
Yes.
let him know that I have added this information so that he can edit it sooner. And what happens there is when he opens it up, like I do with all those that I hold on Find a Grave, I go and look at what he put and make sure that it is verified information. Then
Which
I will
one?
go.
Which one would you open up?
What I would do is I would go back to the memorial. Click the memorial. No, down here. On Find it. Right above your dad's picture says memorial.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see it.
Click it. I would go back to that, and then I would look. I don't know what happened.
Well, anyway, this is these memorials. These are my family members.
And so, if Jared found anything wrong in those, he could go in and edit them with
And
information.
these are all my relatives right here. So when I say my memorials, remember this is my I'm signed in under my name, right? And so these are some memorials that I have, correct, Betty?
Yes.
And so,
And if you have memorials on there and you want to see, which Jerry doesn't have any, but that pencil up there by Jerry's name, when
right
that
here.
pencil, right, when that pencil pops up, that means Jerry has got a message from somebody that viewed a grave and wants to add information if it is his.
And so I just wanted to share with you. Can you see this, Father? Now, can you see him? Or let me do it again. I got to share my screen.
I can see it.
So now you can see. This is what we did with Find a Grave. So I just want to share that with you. And Betty is able to help anyone here who needs that kind of information. You see how much more detail that goes into it. And so I've spent some time with Find a Grave because you saw my other memorials that I have that I added to. So it's an honor to be able. Somebody else pulls up my grandfather. Death photo was added by Jerry Moss, but he didn't have one previously. And I added some information. And so I found relatives that was buried in Los Angeles, and then I've seen their kids where they where their children were buried, and then some of their cousins, and then end up finding there's some of these relatives who are buried here in San Diego, and they had the different names like Boykins. So I have DNA relatives, family members who are here in San Diego, but I never would have known it if I didn't have learned about Find a Grave. So that's what I wanted to share with everybody on the Find a Grave. Does anybody have any questions on that right now? And not, Theodore, could you give us a brief description on Find a Grave from your perspective?
Yeah, because I'm not lost. When I looked up and saw the cemetery where your grandfather was buried, I said, well, ding, ding, ding. I'm familiar with Weish. They are also in South Georgia and North Florida. So, you know, it's almost akin to where were you born? When were you born? Where did you die? When did you die? Where are you buried? If you had a religion, which wars you fought in. If you don't have that much information, um, you're always looking
Right.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another iteration, and it goes up. It never stops. And so I've gotten a start on the Nelson Carter Mitchell lineage going down the I-95 corridor. What's missing from these reports on Find a Grave is where are you buried, what religion, and might be missing information on parents or siblings.
Well, I appreciate that perspective, and that's why I shared, gave you a perspective from the person who is more experienced, and I would use my screen to use it to teach, and I just pray that you learned from that presentation.
I did.
And searching for our ancestors bring life to new, unknown DNA relatives. And that's the story that I told you. By searching my ancestors' records, I was able to bring life to new, unknown DNA relatives. So thank you, Betty.
Theodora, or any of y'all, on the obits that they have, you can write up an obit, and you can contact the manager, and you can give him the information in your email to him. Now, someone will go in there and do an obit for them and put the correct information. But you can also contact them if they're a relative and ask them to transfer it to you. Because Find a Grave rules is that if you're a relative and they're not, what Jerry did was to reach out and ask, if they would transfer, and how are you related? That
Okay.
way, if they're not related, and you don't hear back from them, you can also contact Find a Grave and tell them, look, I've contacted this. And when you send something, save a copy of it. It goes to your email, because when Find a Grave gets ready to transfer that to you, because they have not responded and you are a relative, you will have to show this email to Find a Grave help at the bottom of the page of Find a Grave when you contact them. That email will have to be attached.
Okay. Yeah,
And that's for verification.
right.
Yes,
I
that's
can,
to verify.
yep.
So that was the presentation on Find a Grave. Our next item on the agenda was GEDmatch. The GEDmatch research platform it's going to be explained, and we'll be comparing different GEDmatch kit numbers to discover shared DNA matches. Now, we've done that in the previous meetings. I want to ask you, Theodora, do you have a GEDmatch kit number?
No, I still have not. I'm just about uh, gotten over the cataract surgery, so that
I
I'm
understand
learning
what that
how to
is.
use the eyes with the new tools, 2 pairs of glasses and a magnifying glass.
Yes, and the drops and everything. I understand. I
So
know that
slowly
process.
but surely, but it's on the list for 2025. It's coming.
Okay.
It's
Well,
coming.
what this is? Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
When you upload your information to GEDmatch, GEDmatch is like a Amazon DNA tool. It's like an Amazon. You know, you have different items that you can purchase off of Amazon. It's that big of a warehouse, but this is a DNA warehouse, and it's private, and different different um, testing services. Some people test with my heritage, 23andMe, and Ancestry, and so I haven't tested with all those different ones. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. But what happens is people who are in those platforms, they want to find more relatives. So what they do is they upload theirs to GEDmatch. So they can get more relatives, see if they can connect with more relatives. So that's what the tool is for. And it has a lot of research capabilities, but there's some privacies to it too, because the what's going on now, and I found that on this one program. Uh, there's a program called DNA investigation detective, DNA detectives, and they're solving different crimes for a number of years using DNA. But this is one of the platforms that um, the the authorities are using to connect with crime scenes to relatives, and from the relatives they do triangulations till they finally come to who they suspect is was the perpetrator of the crime, and then they obtain that DNA serendipitously or directly, and then they can verify the match. So that's an overview of what GEDmatch is, that platform. So you want to go into that one with, uh, you want to be diligent. You don't want to just contact 4 and 5 people at the same time. You want to be more personal in GEDmatch with the information that you have. So that being said, this is my GEDmatch page. It's my kit number right here. This is what it looks like once you get your kit number, and it's free. You have to upload your DNA to GEDmatch platform, and then they process it, and then they match you with all these different people along with Ancestry, your matches who have done that. And so that's the tool that we use to connect with different DNA relatives. So here's my kit number right here, the FE9687385. There's my name. And there's different things that you can do. See, upload your DNA. Get these generic uploads. 23andMe, Family Tree DNA, Ancestry DNA, and most others. So this tells what those are some of the people who, those are the different platforms that you can upload. Warehouse of DNA. Now, once my kid is up there, here's different information about GEDmatch, and then here's the free tools. Now, what I do once I get there, the first thing you want to find out is who do you match? And so here's one to many. So I use that one, the original version. And then you can have two kit numbers and see who, I can have Betty's kit number and my kit number. And then we can see who matches us. And then that'll tell us what side of the family, what branch that we might be related on, that we are related on, what branch. But we'll have to do the research, but different names will come up. So I'm just going to do one. I'm going to show you what mine is. One to many. I'll click on that. It asks for a kit number, and there's mine. And then I'm going to display my results. And here they are. You see my results, everyone? You see my results?
Yes.
You can't do it. And let me see. Come down here. So the way it is, let me go down here. I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna move this bar back. I have to slide it to it. I had 3,000 matches with GEDmatch. And here's how it went. These are my matches. The first one, Young Moss, that's my grandson, Delon. Young Moss. And these Brunels, they're on my mother's side. These are on my father's mother's side, the Brunels. Diamond Road, that's on the Moss side. So what happens is, it shows how high they match me in these segments. You see these here total centromorgans? That's the measurement. Each of us have like 7,000 markers and DNA. And our kids have 3,500. Grandkids have half of that, 1,750. So you see the grandson right over here, like about 1,750, 1,900, something like that. And he has a large segment. So that's my grandson. And the higher numbers are first. See this total central mortgage, that's the measurement. There's 928, there's 203, 169. And the ones that have the higher numbers are closer related to you. And so then what you do, they all are, and it shows the generations that they're from you. This is a 1.4 generation, this person 3.1 generation. And let me go down here. Look at this. This tells the date that they compared, how much overlap, and the testing company. So now you can see these different companies. Migration, F-Tree DNA, 23andMe. I never would have found these matches if I didn't put it up on GEDmatch. What questions do you have for me now? Am I this lesson that I'm sharing with you? Are you understanding it? Could you give me some kind of feedback to verify that you're understanding this process? Anyone?
Okay. I will have one question, and that's on this testing company called Migration F2/A. I've not heard of it. So what does it do?
They do the same thing that Ancestry does, and 23andMe. You know, they're just like again, they're like Walmart, Target, Costco. They're just another big store. But they but they but their DNA. So that's just another one that people
Okay.
use to uh, they upload their DNA to that platform, and then they compare their DNA in that platform.
All right. Now, I have heard of a company that does country of origins in Africa specifically. And I'm wondering how much more precise are they than Family Tree or Ancestry in saying you are more likely to be from Ghana, Cameroon, um, Republic of the Congo.
Yes. Does anyone have an answer for that?
Doesn't any DA will show your originals, Jerry, like in ours? It shows different spots in our ancestry,
No. Well, let me answer her
in our
question.
DNA match.
Theodore, I'll answer your question. Once these platforms started coming out, well, you better believe, like, you got these 23andMe and because some of them are having some problems with their management and their records. They're having problems. Some of these are DNA testing companies. But anyway, what happened is, our people, we said, well, uh, we, they said that, okay, we have a database. We're going to go get a database and start our database with people from Africa. So they went and did tests from people in Africa and had a database, a DNA database. And so then what they did is they they had a testing company that's called like African Ancestry DNA, and you can buy a kit from them. How does that sound, Theodora?
This is I've seen it on the program on tracing finding your roots,
Right.
and I'm wondering how authentic, how reliable is their information.
But their information is as reliable as the data that they obtain in their testing labs. But I just wanted to share that there is a database from the uh, continent of Africa, and that there's African DNA tests that you can take. So that's to answer your question.
Okay.
And as you see, they're not showing up on here.
Okay. Okay.
they're not showing up on here, but if you have people from Africa who took the test and you match them on these platforms, they will show up. I have Africans that match me, but they have specifically there have been some Black entrepreneurs who have used this as a model, and they've obtained a lot of data from tests from the motherland, and then you have to pay for that. You got to pay for it just like you pay for Ancestry, and then they can give you your you know
More enlightened information.
yes, on female side, there's a female test and there's a white, and I took that. I paid Y DNA test, and it took me, it took me back to Africa.
Okay,
So
I had
you have to
a
pay for that.
I had a Y-DNA test for the last male Maxwell surname in my family, that I knew was Maxwell. And sure enough, I got a Thomas DNA match. And I've gotten the branch of that Thomas
Yes.
in the time period that I've been talking about. So I can follow those people anywhere in the United States.
Amen.
One of the in-laws was kind enough to share her husband's genealogy with all that had that Y test, that big Y test.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just keep it in mind. I'll keep it in mind. Because down there, I see on GEDmatch there's the one called Projects.
Yes, and we're part of a couple of these projects that are on GEDmatch. This group here, we're part of that project, and there's another group that I'm a part of that are part of that project. Excuse me, Clarice, could you go ahead?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, where does GEDmatch get this? They list different platforms where the information comes. Do people have to subscribe to them, or does GEDmatch, how do they get the information about these other platforms and those kits?
They provide the service. It's like, again, uh, different individuals have they have different cars, and you want to upload. You have all these different car names like Ford, Chevy, Mercedes Benz. They make their cars, Clarice, and after they want to upload them to a bigger platform so more people can see them. So they upload them to GEDmatch. Our DNA
Okay.
is upgraded. We upload it from Ancestry to GEDmatch DNA, that warehouse.
Okay.
Is that
So if the person, say for instance, if I never upload anything to GEDmatch, you will never get a match from me with
no,
anything on there.
no,
Is
not you,
that correct?
not you. But
Okay.
now I tell you this: if you have GEDmatch, I mean, if you have DNA,
Uh-huh.
if you upload your DNA that you have right now to GEDmatch, you're going to come up with a list of names just like mine. You see that one had all those different names?
Uh-huh.
The one to many?
Right.
If you upload yours to GEDmatch, one to one, original, hit number.
You can use mine, Jerry. I know my number. Just show it.
Not yet.
No, I saw that. Yeah, I got that part.
Well, I'm just going to. When
Okay,
you
no
do
problem.
that, this is what you say, and you'll get people, Clarice,
Uh-huh.
you'll get people from other platforms. See, you'll get my 3andMe, 23andMe, um, My Heritage, if Family Tree DNA. You'll get different people that you won't see in Ancestry, but here you'll see them
Because those are people that have uploaded their information to GEDmatch.
from these different
It,
platforms.
it, okay. That's
Other
that's
than,
I think that's what I was trying to ask.
other than Ancestry.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, now go over that section that says gen again. That column says what?
Oh, generations?
Oh,
Right there.
yeah.
Okay.
Is that like 1.5?
Yeah,
1.4?
away from me. One away, generation away from me. And see, he's but look at his central mortgage. He's 1900. Remember, I'm 7,000. My kids are Jerry and Bridget. I didn't upload theirs to this platform, but I uploaded my grandsons to this platform. And he's a 1900. So I know he's only 1.4 generation away from me. He's 30 and I'm 74. He's a generation away. 'Cause you know why? Because I have kids, and so my kids are in the late 40s and 50s, and then he's right after them. So that's where the generations.
Okay,
You see the
yeah.
difference?
Almost not closer to 2 generations.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And the
See,
next one is 3. And
yeah,
it drops tremendously.
huh? And the numbers, see that the
Yeah.
central mortgage dropped tremendously.
Yes.
What I mean, now they're in my same branch, they still my family members, and I know they're like my second cousins. You see, because that's the 04, 203, and it comes down further and further. And you see, and when those central mortgages go down, look how further away they are from me. You see that 3.4
Yeah.
further down these numbers are, the further away. First cousins, second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins. Because your DNA, the closer you are to your family members, the more DNA they inherit.
Right.
And now we all got it now. When we so these second cousins and stuff on me, because they're my grandmothers and grandfathers, brothers and sisters, my great grandmothers, brothers and sisters. And now, your first relatives, I mean, your first friends as you're growing up. My first friends as I was growing up as a young youngster were my cousins. I could go to my cousins' houses. My cousins, my first cousins, we had a pretty good relationship. They were my first friends. We can go to uncle's house and aunt's house. And I grew up with all my first cousins. So they were my first friends. You just spend the night with them and everything. You trust them. You wasn't going to somebody else's house, but you can go to your first cousins. And now, here we are, this many um, scores and tens later. Now that were I'm meeting cousins, DNA cousins that are from the same family branch. That I've only been able to do that and verify this through DNA.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what I focus on, are these cousins of mine that are alive now, that I can see the white of their eyes, and we can come on these meetings and have us a good old time. It's just like in my family, because I'm their family through DNA.
Okay.
Now I want to show you one more on this GEDmatch. We're pretty good on time. Here's one that they do. People who match both kits. See this? Can you see that? People who match both
Yes.
kits. I'm gonna click on that. And I'm gonna put my kit number in there. And Betty, what's your kit number?
UK 47.
Hold it.
Okay.
UK
UK
47
181800. No, that might be too many.
48.
UK 47181800. I think I gave you one too many ones.
Okay, give it to me again.
UK 47181800.
Okay, I got it right now. Now, what this does for is what they're doing, they're taking my GEDmatch kit number up on this Amazon DNA, and they're having hers up there, and they're gonna compare our two, and they're gonna see who matches us, and then we can say, okay, if somebody if somebody comes up here, if there are some results that have that, then we can start looking at how and what side of the family her and I are related on. We already know we're DNA cousins, but now we can start doing some more research. We just use this tool. So here we go. And another thing, the threshold is 10 centimorgans. We're using anybody who matches us above 10 centimorgans. But that's what this program, GEDmatch, you can go down to 3 or 1, and you'll get more people. But I just want to eliminate some of the people and just have 10 centimorgans. And remember, that's the measurement of DNA. Okay, Betty, that's not the right number.
All right, let me go back to my 4718180.
Okay, there you go. What is it? UK?
UK
Uh-huh.
4718180.
881 what?
800.
Now this is UK 471800.
4718 1800. There's a one after the 8.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
Another 8.
8?
An 8 after the 1. There you go.
No.
You may have to drop it down like what's her name did to 3 for me to come up.
No, I got your GEDmatch kit number. But anyway, I'm gonna send you outside for how many minutes you want to go outside for now?
Oh, I don't know, but I'm going to my deal to look on my GEDmatch and see what it says.
We passed you now.
Well, I put the wrong number on my
You did it 2 times. But
right.
anyway,
I'm bad.
real bad. Okay, everyone, give me your opinion on the GEDmatch presentation. Clarice, could you give me your opinion? What I taught you, what did you learn from that, Clarice?
Well, if I get it right, I think I did had a part two of that question to make sure I'm clarifying that I did understand it. If a person does not upload their DNA to GEDmatch, they will never show up on anything you put in. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's okay. I do get it right. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna be interested to do go to GEDmatch, and of course I'll do that with you sometime, Jerry. I just I have these eye problems too, so that'd be a
Theodore,
good issue for
uh,
me.
it,
The
I know you're familiar with it.
lesson,
Did you learn anything from this presentation?
yes, I did. The I'm an only child. As far as I know, on my father's side, there were only two others. I'm not expecting very much. My family tree on my father's side is shrinking by the generations. So I'm the numbers of relatives I seek has not ever been the important question for me. Rather, it is where did the misery begin? And it has, I only have a couple of 100 years or less to look at. And I have the rest of my life. That's about it.
Okay.
Um, and I'm satisfied with the questions that I have in mind because I have a second cousin that I work with on times, and she lets me know what I'm missing. She's got the Johnsons and the Joneses and the what is it, the Smiths, and she's stumped. And where she's stumped, I'm stumped. So it works out.
Okay.
It
Thank you so
works out.
much. Uh, here is we're moving on to the next item, which is Ancestry Pro Tools, the edition. Can you see my home page, everyone? Can you see
Yes.
my home page?
Yes.
What I do when I start each day, when I do uh, start my research, I start off checking my notes up at the top. If somebody did over here, oh look at this, I see it. I just got a note back. What I did is I've been reaching out. I send out a reach out DNA, I reach out bait message that I tell about my story, who I am, and who what my story is, and I put it all. Much as I know, I write I write that I write that story, and so here it is. Example, I tell who I am, or my name. I'll, um, I'll if I I'll let people know I appreciate you the research, surnames that I'm researching. Give those. I reside in San Diego, of my age, and where I was born at, and then I'll get some information about my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family. There they are. And then I tell about the family, what happened, a family story or so. And then the migration, how did we migrate? We migrated from different places. We ended up in stuff working. And then I'll give them share the information. This small Gildon genealogy research group and talk about it, what we do, and maybe share one of the videos with this new cousin and give them some information that they have to do some work on. You can join the meetings, you gotta have the app, and you can join it. And I'm looking forward to. But here's one thing I tell you: could you give me your cell phone and email address so I can send you the meeting information needed for the Zoom. And I let people know I don't answer unknown numbers. And then let me know if you want me to host a private Zoom meeting. And you'll have to co-host it. If you have a private meeting with one of your cousins or someone, you have to be on the meeting with me with them. And, send them the meeting link. Text message. And I just sent this out. When did I send this out? This one, February 4th. So today, this person responds back. You don't know when or not, because I take it and I just throw it out into the ocean. It's a DNA match of mine. And this person matches me 15 Central Morgans across one segment. And here's his name, Walter Jones. And he said, sure, you can call anytime at 562-209 to see how we might be related. So let's take a look at Walter Jones. He's been a member since December 2024.
Well, he looks like you.
Well,
Us.
that's me.
Us.
Here he is over here. So I'm gonna do a share match. He was last active today, and he's just joined in December 24th. I'm gonna do a share match. Share match here. Now, can you see this, or do I have to share it to you? Can you see this?
I see it.
Y'all see Walter Jones and me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's how I start my research. This is just how I did Betty, how I did everyone else. I reach out to them. So that one text message, I highlight it and copy it, and I send it to them. But I just changed the name at the top. Then I send the message. So all these new DNA reach these new DNA cousins, I just changed the name. I copy my history, my story, and on a message, I send them the message, and then it goes out in that ocean, it moves around, and somebody might bite. It might be somebody with 15 centimorgans. It might be somebody with 800 centimorgans.
Oh, okay.
If I don't reach out to them, they won't respond. Sometimes people contact you, say, "Hey, I'm your relative. I want to know about you." But I'm always reaching out to them. I take 10, 15 minutes to reach out to them real quick. So that gentleman, he came back to me, correct? So I can start building a relationship with him. And I know he's a DNA relative. So now, this is the Pro Tools. It's my first time seeing him. Now he's like he matches this person over here, KL. 52 for me, Central Morgans. And look at this, 23. This person, KL. Now this is Pro Tools working. I'm showing you. And then the next, it goes lower as you go down. And they say it's okay. You see these different colors. I have colors, M for maternal side,
Mm-hmm.
for father side, M for maternal side. Normally, and here's an F. So this person he's probably related on both sides of my family. Because he's matching some people in my family that I've already put them in a different branch. You got to separate your people in branches. They're from the mother side, mother and father first. And then, so one side, the other side, other side, the other side. If nothing else, do your mother and father. So watch this. This young man here, I don't know, I didn't get his age. He didn't leave his age. But look at this. And this is part of what Pro Tool helps out with. Now, when he comes back and I talk to him, look at this. We're looking at small numbers here, 34, 34. But look at this person. There's 1,039. Morgan. Oh, here's one, 800. Hodge. Here's a Tony Curl. And here's a 792. 160. And that's one. They match as I go down. They matching me less, but some of them will match him higher. You know whoever these people are. Hodge, name Hodge. But let me go down to the bottom. Okay, there's 3 pages of them, so I can go to the next page and look at him. This here with Walter Jones. He has some more, 690 and stuff. But these people who he's matching me on this side, they're smaller. See, 13s or 13s, but some of them are big for him. So I'll go down a little further. This is page 2. Now here's page 3. Person matches me 8, but somebody matches him 418. Now let's go back. Here's one. Now with this person, Walter Jones, do you see how the Pro Tools, I have information that this person doesn't have Pro Tools and he's just out here, somebody that's just starting off or vice versa. Can you see how I can help him, connect him with some close family members? Can you see that, Clarice? Thousand 1,039. He might not know that person, just like you just said, Theodora. You might not know these people. But if you have Pro Tools, you'll be able to find relatives. They triangulate how they match you and how. This is similar to what you saw in GEDmatch, right? But these people here are all on Ancestry.
Right.
So this guy here already got a message. So I can follow up with him and say, here's what I do, Walter. I'll say, thanks for your prompt response. And I say, I look forward to connecting with you when our schedule permits. And I'll say peace. See all you, cousin. And on this one over here, I'll say, like HE, hello, CUZ. I acknowledge that he's my cousin. You see that? He's already responded back to me, and we're cousins. Thanks for your. I look forward. when our schedules permits. Peace, cousin Jerry. And what I do to this Walter, now I got his telephone number. I can call him if I wanted to. But right now I'm gonna let him know that I got the message. And it goes back to him. So this is how you build relationships to DNA cousins. He might be 15 Central Morgans, but if his mother's living and his grandmother's living, so you see they're older, and I'll see what side of the family, and then we can talk. We can talk and build a relationship and find out what branch. And then if he's interested in learning about his family history, he can join us on these meetings. And we know that he's a relative.
All right.
So that's how I do. Any questions on that? Not GEDmatch, the Pro Tools. Can you see how those Pro Tools are helpful?
When I get to be a big girl.
Well,
Yes.
when we do respond, do you see? I'll have some information for him.
Yeah.
He might not see that, you know, but I'll be able to show him on his. We don't have Pro Tools. If I had access to your tree and your kit, I can show you people that you don't like Theodore, the people that you don't that you don't that you don't see. I can see, and each of you can do this. We'll go right here. DNA. I'm gonna share my screen. You can do this to Therese. Ancestry wants to keep. They want to keep us in. They want to keep. They want to keep their business going. Okay, now look at this DNA. Look at the DNA matches. Now, these are my DNA matches in Ancestry. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy to get these first 4 or 5 of them. Those are my children. Those are my young adult children. I had to use positive persuasion. There was some reluctance, but I used positive persuasion, and they agreed. That's why that I recommend that you get as many of your family members tested as possible, as soon as possible. Older, younger, but definitely get your family members tested. So this is my son, Jerry Jr. Look at his Central Mortgage, 3,400. My son, Donnell, 3,481. My daughter, Bridget, 3,400. Right there. This is my brother, Dale, 2,600. My granddaughter, Destiny, 1,900. And y'all saw Delon. Here he is, Delon. His is 1,830. 17. Nephew, niece, 1,400. I got a half brother. This is 1,300. So when you have these different kind of central organs, then when you start matching people, you can get an idea of who they are by their central organs. And the reason why I can use it as an example is because I've had my family members tested. Any comments, Betty?
Nope. I understand it because
Clarice?
you taught me how.
My question is, why would your children or grandchildren, why would they be have a higher count? I mean, is it all the same DNA?
It's the same DNA, but it's close. It's in the ballpark. You know, you know, they glean some of your DNA. It's not just to the number. It's in the range.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Right.
because it's science, but it's close enough when you get these numbers. You know,
Mhm.
there's some leeway, Clarice,
Okay.
and you know, because I got, you know, they're not from the same. One of them is they're not from the same. Uh, uh,
Parents.
they're not from the same parent. My wife and I are one. You know,
Hmm.
some of them have those, and then my other son is from another relationship, and so him and his daughter, uh, they're from me, but there's another component, you know, another
I see.
person.
I see.
But
Okay.
we're all right there. But how they relate to me, those are, you can see those numbers. They relate to me. They
Got you.
they no they are mine per the DNA. They're mine. and it's verified. So so then y'all and then you can see my different codes. M for male, mother side, F for father side, and these are from both my mother and father because that's my, you know, those are like my, if they nephews, that's my whole brother and his son. So you know, but the half, my dad, he's alpha. He's 13. He's my half brother, but on my father's side, but we have different mothers. But he matches me 1300. So my family dynamics, because of the testing, that's how I can really help you when it comes to numbers. When I see these different numbers, I can tell you, no, 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 it's not that. Or they might say that they might be this, and then that's when I have to put on my hat. I have to put on this hat. See that gray hair? I have to put on that wise hat because God is the source and I'm the messenger. Sometimes I have to share information that people don't want to hear, but that DNA that you just saw doesn't lie. So it's a way of doing it. And so that's my goal. I just ask God to give me the strength and the wisdom to communicate this information. If I have me a great niece or a great nephew who's searching for their families and they matching me, and they're trying to find that who's who, I have to use discretion on which one of my brothers or sisters that they're related to. Do you all understand that? And I have the information because I got the DNA. Now
Hmm.
I just have to verify. I got to find out which one. And I have to tell them, go back and ask your mother, who was she with? Give me some different names. You know, ask your father, who was he with during this time or that time. Before I take it further, you know, in my immediate family, you give me more information. If you give me some names that I can work with, then I can share the information with. So
So it boils down to if truth be told, if not, we go find out.
yeah. So on this, I wanted to show you. Here's the other thing right here. You can, each of you now who have ancestry, you can do it by parent. Look at this. Pick by parent. Uh, with this thing, it shows. Can you see this? This parents by parent. Let me get my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
You each have access to this. You come down and look at my parent, and look at there. I have 9,000 people who match me, but per DNA. Now, 400 that are in this database, this ancestor database, who matches me on my mother's side. And these are their parents. Burnell, Jack, Joe, Moss. On my mother's side, no. So on my reach out text message, when I'm doing this for new people, I use these surnames for these 4 surnames for the reach out text message for my father's side. I use the other 4 for my mother's side. And so anybody who's matching me out of these different matches, then they can come back to me and say, "Oh yeah, I'm matched. Okay, I know this. I'm matched with you on this side. I know these people." So you see how these tools that they're giving us, how helpful they can be. And here's one other thing I want to show you. Okay? It also gives you your relatives by ancestors, your matches by ancestors. Watch this. Yeah. And this is called true lines. It's an estimate, but these are all. Can you see these pictures?
Yes.
This is my
Yes.
mother and father, and these are my father's parents. This is my grandfather Dave and Ethel Burnell, Dave Moss, and this is my mother's father, John Gildon and Minnie Lee Kurtz Gildon. And so what happens is they have, through other people's trees, different people have different trees out of these 9,000 and all these other trees. Now you can find out who's related to you by what grandparent. It's an estimate now, but at least I'm gonna show you what it can do. This is called it's called through lines. Through lines. Through their lines, it'll show you. The THRULLINE. I'm gonna go down a couple of generations. There's my mother and father. Here's my grandfather. Let's go to my great grandfather. Look at these names. Here they are. They say Thomas Moss, there's 8 DNA matches. Yellow Heron, there's 12 DNA matches. There's some Burnell, there's 17 matches. Regina, there's 17 matches on her. There's Isham Burnell. So let's look at this. And they're between 28 Central Morgans and 34 Central Morgans. That's what it's telling me.
Okay.
Now, can you see this?
Yes.
Well, look at this. My grandmother, Ethel Burnell, she had a brother, my grand uncle. His when he was born, his name was Godfrey Burnell. And watch this. I'll do a click here. Look at this. It showed these DNA matches of me. Here's a Roxanne Burnell, 77 Central Morgans, 4 segments. Fanny, 59 Central Morgans. This Deanna, 103 centimorgans. And what it does shows which one of my little common ancestors. That's what it does. It breaks it down to that degree. It shows what common ancestor that these people are matching me from. So how helpful is that? And then this shows the matches. This woman matches me 106 by. So if I clicked on her, I could connect her and tell her that we're related. And our common ancestor is this man, my great grandfather, Isham Burnell. And so that's the value of these true lines. And I have these. See, when I want to really get down and do some serious research and not do all this here theory, I don't have much time. I use through lines. I was like, look at, I can come all the way down here. Here's 17. These are my generation 30. Here's 30. Martha McCordy, William Jack, that's my third great grandfather. Now, look, 79. So I have 79 DNA matches that I can, if I click on him, this is mine, comes down, and here's Nimrod. That's that's my second grandfather's brother, Nimrod. Uh, my father's Ham, and here she is. And then look here, there are three. Look at all these here. Here they are. And so I called this guy, Vernon Martin. I called and talked to him because he came up on this on my the matches, the tree matches as a fourth cousin, 135 centimorgans. So I called and talked to him. And now I know how he's related to me. And so he tells me stories about where he lived at. He has relatives that are in Omaha, and that's where I'm from. But look how this information is right there, right for you. It shows the generations and the it shows the lineage, basically. Now, and here's one that I want to share with you. Okay. Before I do that, Clarice, could you give me any comment on that demonstration on how you can find people from your ancestors? I mean, your common ancestor.
Yeah, we kind of went through this one before. Actually, I just haven't gone back. I did get a couple of people, and I sent them an email. I just haven't checked back in the last few weeks. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And you also we color coded whether it's from the mother or the father side, so it gives you all that information as well. I do like that breakdown.
Third, Theodora,
Yes,
any comments on that?
I'm just looking. Um, I see there's a possibility. uh, some of the especially the North Carolina people and the ELL, like Burnell, Moss, of course, I'm familiar with. Nelson, I'm familiar with. Um, don't doubt it. It's just where
Well,
and and when.
yeah. Betty, what's your take on that True Lines?
I really like it because if you don't have all the siblings, it'll give you the siblings, and then you can add them in, and then take your hints from there and fill in, from your census and the records that show up.
Yeah. So it's a helpful tool.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I have one other one that I will show you with this with this about your matches. By location. You can find your matches by location. And look what this does. I'm ready. Can you see this map?
Yes.
Okay. Well, on this map, you could see where your DNA matches are by location. And I live in San Diego. I didn't know that I had this DNA match that lived in San Diego. And so I was able to click on that match and contact that person and found out that, how we're related. And see, it goes into all these different locations, Manistee, Riverside, in Long Beach. There's three people right by Signal Hill, KT, distant cousin. There's two. I met Judy. Here's her picture. I know where she's at on my mother's side. Look at there's 14 in Los Angeles. Was a picture of who they are. Are they close family? Wandale Jackson, that's my first cousin. That's my father's brothers. That's my uncle's son. That's Wandale. So he's a close family member, right? His extended, not they're pretty. So there they are. So what I just want to share those tools with you that you can use. And there's a map. So you use that map when, and that shows you where your relatives are in different parts of the country, in the world. Your name matches. What do you
That's
think of that,
powerful.
Clarice?
Maps I can understand.
You can understand that one, huh?
Yes. There. X marks the spot. The
Yeah,
history, it really can tie in.
yeah. And these are DNA matches that are matching you right now, and you can find them. You see where they're. Then you just, you reach out to them. What about you, Clarice? About map? Map tool.
Yeah, I like it. It gives you, I like the visual, it gives you a good visual of what's going on.
And where your
I think I
DNA
lost.
where your DNA relatives are located.
Exactly. I like the visual. I think I lost. I'm trying to get back to where I was. I don't know if you could hear me or not.
That's what I wanted. That's why I wanted to show it to you. That's why I wanted to show it to you. I appreciate that. Everybody taking the time to join the meeting, and we went over all these different the agenda, and it's good to see it. I'm just thankful that I can share, and I appreciate all your inputs. And so I look forward to um, meeting with you, Theodora, and sharing my tree and verifying the information of the slaveholders. And Clarice, just let me know when we're going to set up this here, getting this kit to you. Details on that.
Okay, yes.
And Theodora, I did tell you that I was going to show you how some information about what I pertain to about my former slaveholder. Do you all have time for me to go over there? To be about 5 minutes? Do you? Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right here was in my research, doing my thing, and last year, about August or something like that, this woman reached out to me. Her name is Lauren De Moll, and she wrote a letter to me, and she said, uh, "Let me." Message. Let me see if this will show up. So can you see this letter that says, I'm trying to get it on my other screen. I'm having a challenge by doing that. Can't get it over. One more time. Okay, let me share this with you. Can you see this letter right?
Yes.
Yeah.
26. She wrote this letter, and she said, it, it's taken me so long to get back to you, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So it's hard for me to show my work to people when I don't get it done. What she is, she she identified her ancestor who was a slaveholder of my ancestors, and she's a DNA relative. And this one of her ancestors um, violated one of my ancestors, and they had kids, DNA kids, and she saw matches that she matches with these black people, and she wanted to uh, help us reconnect and find our uh, the slaveholders and tell the story about some of my ancestors. And she saw that we were doing pretty good by looking at our trees. And uh, Theodora, she looked at my tree and said, and the pictures, and she said, looks like you all have progressed, and I want to know more about you. And I believe I can help you find more information about where your family were enslaved and what the migration pattern was. Has any of you ever had a Caucasian person uh, reach out to you like that?
Nope. Oh, yes, I
Since
have.
I have.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I have. I don't have them often,
Well, this one
but
has the
from Carter.
documentation. So I sent her a meeting. There's two of them. There's a man and there's a woman. One's name is Tommy Lewis. He a DNA match to my cousins and some of my DNA cousins, black ones, and he's white. And this woman here is the same. And so I let her see a meeting that I had with Tommy when he was giving us his information. what he shared with us. And then she came with information. So I said, you two need to get together. And they're from the same family. They're from the same location, same family, same ancestors. So here's what she said. She watched this meeting with Tommy, interest. His research seems solid, and she appreciated his openness to working with my group and talking about sticky issues it brings. Interesting, Tommy does not turn up as a DNA match to him on Ancestry anyway, nor do you, probably because identical segments we share are smaller than 6 centromorgans. Remember when I was talking about them centromorgans? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending you 2 documents at this time, both text, old version Microsoft Word I'm comfortable with, and as a PDF, in case you can't read the text ones. I separated them so you can open them side by side for comparison. Feel free to share both of these with your group. I would also welcome corrections or any additions or they are willing to provide. The first is Moss Descendants and contains my rough drafts and outline of the descendants of Thomas and Peggy Moss, the descendants of William, Martha, and Rufus and Reuben Moss. I have not verified all of the people in these trees. Some may be incorrect, missing, or in the wrong place. The second document is Moss DNA Trail, in which I detail my understanding of what the DNA numbers mean. Then I list the people of color who DNA matches to me and who I think are or may be related through the Moss family. In some cases, these folks have not made these public. So I don't have access to all the details of their ancestors. Maybe you can or they can fill in the blanks. So some of the people she's researching, their trees aren't public, but she's on the trail. Do you understand what I'm saying? She's actively pursuing, information about us. Okay. I like to have more time to do further research before sharing with you your full group in a Zoom meeting, if that's okay with you. I'm still trying to trace all the individuals in the Thomas Moss will and the people who were enslaved by Thomas Moss and William Moss in Alabama and by J.C.C. Moss in Arkansas. I'd also like to share with you things like the locations of the plantations on which your ancestors were forced to work and biological information about Thomas and J.C.
Yep.
who appeared to be your ancestors too. Would it be okay to think about meeting sometime in June? I could send you and the group information to absorb in advance, and then we could ask for an answer in the meeting. I'm available just about every day or time except that I'm on the East Coast, and I tend to get tired and incoherent in the late afternoons and evenings. You can let me know what will work for you all. Thanks again for your welcome and willingness to work together. I can't fix what my ancestors did, but I'm hoping I can at least help shed some light on the history of all my cousins. This is what she provided. Can you see this in color?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What she has names.
Extensive.
Would you say?
Extensive.
She has names. Joe Mars, 1859. He was on the schedule. You know about the slave schedules. 1860 and 1870 with Rufus Moll. Lucretia Moll, she talks about her. And she's talking. So as we go down, there was a Jerry Moss, and he shows up in the 1870 census. I see him, and they all live together right by each other, these names. There they are. Amy, these are all my kids.
You hit the jackpot.
And these are my that match. She said, Yvette Holder, she's on the East Coast. She's 9 centuries, and she matches Lauren. That 15th century mortgage, and she's a match with Lauren here, this woman. So these are my DNA cousins, as I'm showing you how much detail she went through. And she goes down, the McGee's, Mike McGee, that's my cousin. He didn't know that his grandfather was black, my great uncle. He didn't know that until I reached out to him. He didn't believe it, so I had to verify it. You know how I verified it? Through GEDmatch. Now, we're the best of cousins.
Hmm.
And then it goes down to Jane, and I'll go to another one. There's some more right here, and it shows where they're from. Nancy. This talks about the history of Arkansas, and it has some of the names in it. Let me get this. The 1900 census, I have their different names there. The McKinneys. Here's my David Moss, one you saw in the Find the Grave. There he is, when he was 3 years old. And you can see it. All these, some of those people who you saw, here's a Reuben Moss, and you saw these different Mosses, they all stay together. Similar to what you said. Let me go over here. There's those. Go back. That's the Lord. Another I talk about building a solid relationship with her. Okay. Can you see this? I'm gonna make it bigger. These are Slave and Thomas Moss's will. Him and Peggy, 1849, and he died out of will. No, he died with his will, but it talks about where they sent their kids. I mean, they gave who he gave his kids to, the people, the enslaved that he gave to his kids, and there they all are in his will. It was in Russellville, and when it was probated, so started off in Virginia, then it went, they lived in Kentucky, and it talks about the church where this here Thomas and Peggy Moss, where they married at Christian County, Kentucky, and they had their children there. They went to Franklin County, Alabama, where he was a Baptist preacher, at Russell Valley. So here's the different ones: Randolph, Peggy, Mary, Harriet, Sarah. Some of these women, one of these women are my one of my great grandmothers, and and we haven't been able to identify her specifically. But the men, who impregnated them, we have a pretty good. We got DNA, as you just saw, these DNA trails who that person is. And if it's not the son, we know that it does father right here. Thomas Margaret. And when I told her, I'm just going to start with him. She said, well, it could be his son, one of his sons. I said, well, look, the apple don't fall far from the tree, like father, like son. And he has different sons. So I said, but we know that this is the father of them, of those sons. So that's why I use this uh, as my anchor on where I obtain the Moss surname. And that's a meeting with Tommy. Okay. Tommy, Tommy Lewis, he's the white guy who matches. He's my white cousin. He said, "Hey, how come recently I got a chance to watch the meetings. I really enjoyed the meeting you had with cousin Tommy Lewis. That's bad." And when Tommy said GEDmatch account, because I asked him, "Do you have a GEDmatch account?" At one time he did. He removed it. Maybe this would help. It's a few of my matches from Ancestry that descended from Rufus and Reuben Moss. If you have any questions, let me know. Look look at these matches. Val, cousin Val. That's my great uncle James Monroe, who was a preacher, who got his theology degree from Howard University in 1911. He was a traveling minister. That's what.
Okay.
Look at that. 111 centimony, 106 centimony. Then it goes down a little bit more. 125, 99.
JCC Moss.
Yeah, and he was in the Confederate Army. He got captured. He captured, and then after he got captured, once they were freed, like I said, USS Grant, they gave them pardons and let them go back to their homes. And see, as you see, I've been doing some research. So that's some of the information that I want to go with you. Um, One other thing. Oh, she said the Moss Trail. Where is that? Then, oh, here's a Moss descendants. You see that Moss descendants 2024? Can you see
Yes,
that?
yes.
I'm gonna make it bigger. So what she did is she went in and of course people who were probably enslaved by Thomas Moss, that's the father. Blue, people who were probably enslaved by Jackson C.C. Moss, that's his son. And that people identify one or more of the Meeks, Axons, or Anthony's family trees. So she did have had access to trees, and she's connecting the trees to the family. And people who are a DNA match to Lauren, to her, here in red. And so here's it starts off with here's Thomas and Margaret. They talk about when they were born, and there's 39 DNA matches. And she starts laying. These are the kids. There's, these are there's a mother and father. Here their kids are, and then here's the Moss, the son, and all his kids. Lucy, Sarah, Elizabeth, all them, Nancy, and here's this J.C. Moss right here. These are his kids. And then she goes through and says,
And that's where she is.
yeah, she uh she means
That's powerful.
what'd you say?
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Come on, God.
Because she knows and she's sharing. She knows and she shared.
What does it mean to see this?
Not all white people are cold-hearted.
No, it was for money. It was always about the land and the money. Don't ever forget it.
Mm-hmm.
It was always about the land and the money.
Yep. This country fought a war over us for the money, for the property rights. It's about the money. You got it. Absolutely. And she had a heart.
Like on this one here, look at this. Probable biological son of Jackson C.C. Moss, an unknown slave woman. She thinks it might be this Annie.
Amy.
Because of the age group. You see what I mean?
Oh,
Of the ones who were enslaved at that particular time. And she
uh-huh.
eliminates some of them. It couldn't be them because of the age. See, she does that because they had they had all their names. See?
I
And
mean, extensive. I mean, she wrote it down. She
yeah,
kept up with it.
Lynette Hudson, 25 century mortgage, a match, and these names. And then these biological children. Now here's my favorite. Here, look at this. Uh, Probable biological children of Jackson C.C. Moss, an unknown enslaved woman, possibly Annie or Martha.
Narrowed it down for you.
Yeah. And here's Reuben Moss. That is my second great grandfather. And he's the one that I have all, all of it's all verified. And him and his my second great grandmother, City Moss, they migrated. Their sons were porters, and they migrated to California to Los Angeles after between 1910 and 1918. And just he was a reverend too, just the best. And their whole family dynamics, our Moss migration patterns. They were porters, and they worked on the railroad first. George Pullman's, that's the brothers. About three of those brothers were Pullman porters. And they traveled, and so they established themselves in Los Angeles and worked at the hotels and bought homes and they brought their mother and father out there with them. And they passed away. My second great grandfather, Reuben, and my second great grandmother passed away first. Uh, and 2 weeks later, in 1918, my her husband, Reuben T. Moss. Look at this.
Unreal.
Unreal. Unreal. And so, but from him, here's where this Reuben T, that's why I said I couldn't confirm the woman, but she's saying possible biological information. And then, so here's what I have. Um, them, Thomas Moss, 1867, 1899. That's my second great grandfather, Thomas Moss. And then him and Della Heron, here are their kids right here. Emma, Etta, and I've met some of these their descendants. And then these are my own right here. Floyd and my aunt Della, Lloyd and my uncles who I knew them all. And this is my father, Kenneth Hoover. And then here I am, Jerry Moss. I'm a DNA match to other Moss descendants, black and white. So there it is as it comes down. Bahala, these different matches. I matched him, and so Mike McGee, cousin. So I just wanted to share that with you because it's not often that you get a chance to hear those kind of records,
No, it's not.
with family and friends.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Back to the tunneling. That's what I refer to it as, tunneling.
And I call it digging.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. That might as well be me. Might be part bloodhound, who knows?
Well, I when you talked to me and you told me your story originally when you and I were on here first, you touched my heart, and the records that you have obtained, I wanted to let you know that I understand your journey and the harvest that you have reaped, and I just wanted to give you my harvest and share that with
Yes, I'm happy. I know how to smile for a week.
you.
Good.
Yeah, every now you get a breakthrough,
Hmm.
and you got a breakthrough.
Yes, ma'am.
You know it. That's why I'm always asking questions about strategy. Now, how do I find this information, or what's another way to get it?
Absolutely.
And it's harder now because some of the sites that used to be free aren't free anymore.
Yep, yep.
They saw where they can make money.
My dear family, I admit after going through that presentation, it has a emotional effect, but there's also a sense of uh, gives me my morale is up. I'm encouraged because I was able to share it with you and to get the amens. Amen. Amen. Wow. The significance of sharing this information goes a long ways for keeping me motivated to be humble and stay focused. do what I can while I'm able. It's a lot better to do it together, and that's why cousin Theodora. That's why when you asked me earlier about the numbers of people, numbers have their place. But what we did today was so significant. Uh, Together, it was a family conversation, like being right across the table.
Right. Yeah.
And that has more value. It means more to me than having 100 people here today.
It's
Great.
all about sharing, Jerry. That's how we're going to get there.
And I
Working
brag
together.
on this. I'm sorry, excuse me. So I brag on this show all the time about sharing is caring and how there's no competition. I mean, everyone is just so willing to share their information. And believe me, the more you hear it, the more you hear it becomes a part of you. Like I said, I know so much more now and feel a little bit more confident. You know, I'm dealing with my eyesight and got to get my glasses, got to get all this stuff right. So as I go into this, but just be a part. And while I have the mic, I'd like to make a suggestion, a proposal, and a nomination that we nominate Jerry as the VIP of this meeting.
Amen. I agree.
Of
Oh,
course.
You
thank you
just don't, you girls just don't know how much he's already taught me
man. Thank you.
Oh, yes, I do.
with the tools.
Well, with the greatest humbleness and grace, I accept that. I accept that MVP award for the meeting, and
Yes.
I couldn't represent a better group.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So with
Look
that,
I
for
Thank you, Jerry, for allowing me to join.
thank you. It's my pleasure. So with that, let's have closing remarks, and let's see Dora, then Clarice, and then Betty.
Well, as I mentioned, I'll be looking forward to the next meeting and the next crumb that comes my way, for which I will be graciously appreciative, because this stuff that I am facing is really, really um it's you have to be part hound dog to not give up. And some days, you some weeks, I should say, you can go days and not a crumb, not one crumb. And then, wow, something happens and you ask the right question and you find an answer for it and you say, I got it this time.
Yeah.
And that'll hold you until the next drought. But that's the way it goes. It I'm really constructing records when there are none, and when I know things are written with the meat and the potatoes together with the veggies. I know what's missing from these constructing the life of the enslaver, because when they stop fighting for for independence, then it was truly the removal of the Native Americans. And then what else? It's each other. And so this is what our greats went through, the fighting with each other. And sometimes religion helps, and then you can see sometimes even they lost it. Religion didn't help. And literally fighting the neighbors. But this is the story. So if you want to know how certain people walked, and you're tracing the walk in their shoes, their pathways, you see it. You see it and you say, oh, let us not do this, repeat this again. Try not to. And we need the message strongly now. We need that message. So let us continue. Let us continue, and we look forward to the next meeting.
Thank you for those encouraging words. Clarice?
Yes, a new takeaway for me today is that, I always talk about I know my mother's family, which I do, and I know that one of my great grandmother was a slave, and her husband was a freeman. And we've actually gone and seen the gravesite by the church. It's in Georgia, Newton County, and then their name was Newton and Newton County, but I never ventured the way of finding out on the slave owners, anything like that. So that's going to be another pursuit that I've taken from this meeting today, to focus in on that slave and to see if we can run down some more stuff on the Newton County. And so that was really cool, because there's always, like you said, there's always something new popping up, even though when I wasn't looking in that direction, but listening to this account of the slave and knowing that she was a slave, to go back and start looking at pushing some of them buttons that's going to pop up with the Pro Tools, as well as, continue with my father's side of the story. But so each time, that's why I said, sometimes I don't say I just listen, I listen in, but I'm picking up so much information, so many clues as to what I can go in and do, when I do get my eyes together, when I do the research. But some of it I can do now. But so that's another avenue. So again, I could just say thank you to each of you for sharing your story. It may not seem like much to you, but it is very much. And it does give others clues and hope. So again, thank you to each and every one of you.
Thank you, Clarice. Betty?
I did not realize how hard it was for y'all to search down your ancestry until Jerry contacted me, and I started going back, and I hadn't really paid any attention to the wheels in my tree. And then when I saw where they stated that they be sold, or they went down to another family, and there's no other records. It is so much easier for me to do my tree than it is for you. And if I can come across anything that I can help y'all with, I will. And Jerry has helped me with learning tools to actually try to come across the information that y'all need. And I'm willing to help. And I really enjoy these meetings. And I take notes, because on each of y'all, like when Theodore says her ancestry names, Clarice says hers, I write them down. And if I should run across them, I go back and I say, well, who said that name? Just to try to look. And I've extended my tree out a little to some that are not even related to me now, because y'all are looking for those names. So I'm going to be looking also.
And what I've done with Betty also, I asked her, because she wants to help, and she's very talented. And I asked her, Betty, well, look on your DNA matches and um, tell me how many. I mean, find your black matches, find out who they are, and then build a relationship with them. And so what she did, she
And
started
that's what I've been.
she started finding her black DNA matches, because they're right there. And they had numbers. They had 100. They had, her and me is like about 17 centimorgans. But Betty, don't you have some that's 100?
Yes, I do. I have,
Black, that are black.
right. I have, oh, I think I have over 50 in
Mm-hmm.
my tree. in my DNA matches, and I've been contacting them through a reach out message, and some of them have responded and some of them haven't. I did get a response the other day from a lady, and we were a DNA match, but one of my white ancestors married her mother in I think it was in Tennessee, and that was a name that I just had, that it was a black person that she was married to. She gave me that information.
But see, that's what
So
we're talking about, though. You know, as we sit here, that's what we're talking about. So when you have um, some of the sources of your answers right in front of you, ask them, ask, seek, knock, and build bridges, build relationships. And Betty was able to do that, and she found out that the people were receptive, weren't they? Some of them.
yes,
And so now Betty would be able to do what you just saw, this this
learn.
presentation that I gave. She'll be able to do that for some of them.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's what this format is about, is bringing us together, because you know there's only there was this genealogist was that was giving sharing some information. These are my closing remarks. The genealogist was on. I was watching a program yesterday, and there's only less than 10% uh, differences between all of us, and one of the and there's 90% of us are all that it's the same. We're human beings. We're human beings, and then one of these genetics are it has melatonin, and some people have a higher percentage of this melatonin than others, but that's only less than 10%. And so we are all the same. And the only difference is just a few scientific uh, 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 it's like a genomes. Genome. It's called genomes. There's only a few differences, but most of us we're all together. So when I look at that, that's why I believe the way that we're going to really come together as a country is when we start sharing more of this DNA, and we'll find out how much more we are together than we are more the same, similar than our differences. We have more in common than we don't. So with that in mind, I stand black, and I pray that you all have the rest of this weekend and holidays that you have. Be safe out there, and I look forward to communicating with each one of you. Any kind of private meeting you want to have with me, you know, you're welcome to contact me. And we got some unfinished business, Clarice. I'm always talking with Betty, and I look forward to Theodora. I look forward to having a private meeting with you soon, if not soon.
All right. Glad to do it.
It's all good. It's all good.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
For some people, others of you are in the good afternoon. Enjoy.
Good night.
I don't like cutting people off.
You can cut us off. I'm trying to get to the areas to leave.
Yeah.
I'll contact you, Jerry. Email. I mean text
Okay.
later. All right.
East Coast. Theodora, East Coast. I got cousins up there.
Yes, East Coast. Night night.
Right where you're at. Yeah.